radio, Rahim. Now, I want to say Bam Bam Rodriguez because, this is a childhood cartoon of mine.
Yeah.
And is this where the Bam comes from? Is it Bam Bam?
No, it's just Bam. I used to hate when people call me Bam Bam, but now I don't really care. It's cool. But the name Bam came from the great Bambino, the baseball player.
Okay.
And then it changed to Bambi, and then just
Bambi?
Yeah, like the deer.
Okay,
but
well,
that was when I was a baby, but I just outgrew that name, and now it's just Bam.
Okay, so Bambi when you were a baby.
Yeah.
Then the big Bambino.
No, Bambino first.
How do you transition
I don't know.
from like?
Yeah, you gotta ask my mom and dad about that. But
okay, well, I'll tell you, the reason I thought of Bam Bam is because he's a hard-hitting little guy who's like kind of the star of the show, and people don't realize that until they've seen a few episodes. And I feel like your breakout episode just happened in June.
Yeah.
Estrada was a performance that everyone's talking about, a huge knockout, knocked him down in the fourth. It was a great display of your talent and ability. Did it feel like after that fight you had crossed over into another kind of realm of stardom?
I believe so. I got put number 5 pound for pound, so that just goes to show and says a lot about my talent. So, it's just a blessing, the position I'm in right now, all these media, everything that's come with that win. It's just, I couldn't ask for more.
The lower weight divisions, 115, 130, these guys don't get a lot of attention often. You have to really be special to get people's, get your name on top of people's tongue. And you are already spoken about amongst the bigger stars in these divisions. Who was it that you looked to when you were dreaming of having a belt like this around your shoulder that you say, you know what, that guy is kind of the model for me?
When I was an amateur, I would look up to Nonito Donaire a lot, Brandon Rios, Mikey Garcia, even Robert Garcia, seeing him, coach those fighters. I always picture myself being in that position, and here I am today, one of them.
And now you're sparring with the likes of Chocolatito, probably the last biggest star in this division. What was that experience like? What did you learn?
That was a great experience. Like I've said plenty of times, some of the best sparring I've got in my whole career. We shared 24 rounds and 3 sparring sessions, and I picked up a lot of things in that sparring. There was times where I would throw a shot and he was already blocking it and countering. Usually with those punches against other sparring partners, I'm able to land, pretty easy. But he has great inside game.
The young lion versus the old lion who's not ready to give it up yet. That's an old story in all different sports. But in boxing and combat sports, it's a special kind of, passing of the torch, if you will. An unwilling passing, nonetheless. But the kind of reverence you have for Chocolatito, the experiences you've had in the ring, training, does that make it difficult for you to imagine him being your opponent and going out to maybe put this guy down for the rest of his career? Like, you could potentially retire Chocolatito if that fight were to happen.
If it were to happen back then, I never really pictured it happening, but in a recent interview, he was open for it. So, if it makes sense, then why not?
How do you think of that fight?
It's a great fight for the fans. Like you said, old line versus the new line. I feel like it'll be an even better fight than me and Estrada.
Sonny Edwards, I would say, for the Brits, like, you're here with Eddie Hearn. You're seeing this Riyadh season kind of decadence, and that could be in the future for you in Riyadh nonetheless. I'd say a lot of British fans probably were introduced to you with that Sonny Edwards fight. A lot of them were picking him against you. Certainly he thought that was going to be his coming out party. Where did that fight turn for you? Where did you realize, you know what, this is my night?
Like towards the end of the first round, and then in the second round, I messed his eye up, and I knew it was just over at that point.
Going in, did you think it was going to be a more difficult fight than it ended up being?
Yeah, I feel like he was going to be a lot lighter on his feet, a little faster, but I was able to keep up with him in that first round. And then, like I said, towards the end of the first round, I was able to keep up with him and move him with the footwork. So I just knew like I was going to take over.
Where do you think Sonny goes from here?
He could fight Galal Yafai. He could fight anybody, really. I feel like he beats anybody at 112.
You think after having this experience with you, even though you beat him pretty convincingly, and no fight's easy, but it didn't look like the hardest night of work you've had, you think a rematch is warranted?
Yeah. If it makes sense, then yeah. I would love a rematch with Sonny. Like I said, it has to make sense. If he has a belt or he's the mandatory, something like that, then why not?
You have an unusual relationship, I would say, with somewhat your rivals, right?
Yeah.
Like you're sparring with Chocolatito. That's a potential big opponent. And now you got Sonny Edwards in your camp after
Yeah.
beating him. How did that happen?
Well, he wasn't in my camp, but he was just watching me for a little bit during fight week. I was finishing up my workout, and we were just talking a little bit.
Would you consider yourself friends now?
Yeah, I mean, like, I comment on his stuff, he comments on mine. We talk in the DM sometimes, just, wishing each other well, things like that. So he's a cool guy. At the time when we were building up the fight, I didn't really like him, but to get to know him a little bit more, he's a cool guy, and he's a cool friend.
Do you think of fighting in the UK as like a place you can make home fans? You can make a name for yourself there and get a bit of groundswell of attention.
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of UK fans already, like you said, from that Sonny fight. So if I were to go out there and fight in the UK, I feel like it would, do good numbers.
Where do you want to go from here? Like, I'd say the possibilities are somewhat endless. You can fight in 2 weight divisions. I don't know. Are you thinking of 3? Are you thinking of even going higher?
Yeah, I mean, I have like 2 more fights at 115, and then eventually I want to move up to 118. Fight people there, collect some belts, and then move up again to 122.
So you haven't collected undisputed yet at any of these divisions. Is that something that is important to you? Like collecting all the belts at one of these weight classes?
Yeah, I'm really close right now, especially if I get the Puma Martinez fight. I'll have 4 belts, and then all that's left is the WBO. So, I mean, hopefully it all goes well, and I'm able to become undisputed at 115.
Where are you most comfortable? Like, you got 2 more fights at 115. You want to go to 118. You've already been as successful below 115. Where is it the easiest for you to fight?
Right now at 115, I made weight pretty easy for the Estrada fight. 112 was a little difficult, so it wasn't too comfortable, but I feel like 115 I'm comfortable right now, but I couldn't compete at 118 if I wanted to.
Where do you see yourself on the pound-for-pound list in contrast to Inoue?
On the pound-for-pound list, I believe, I'm respectfully at number 5, like the way the Ring magazine has me. In a way, I believe he's number 2.
Yeah. What does it take for you to climb to number 1?
I believe beating Puma Martinez will put me like number 4, but then again, you have Beterbiev and Bivol. So, I mean, it's just hard to move up in the pound-for-pound ranking, especially right now. There's just so much talent, and I mean, wherever I'm at, it's an honor. So just to be up there with those names, it's a blessing.
Well, we're all here to see the top guy fight right now.
Yeah.
We've got Terence Crawford, number 1 pound for pound on any legitimate list. He's got to be there. Why are you here to watch that fight? Or is it just the promotion thing, or do you enjoy Terence Crawford in particular?
Yeah, Terence Crawford, but also my homie, Vasyl Venezuela. I spent a few, weeks with him in camp, so I came out to support him as well. I got invited. And then Crawford as well, he's just a great fighter. Like I said earlier, you put any style in front of him, he's going to adjust and take over and get the knockout. But like I said, I got invited. If I didn't get invited, I would have just bought the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I
didn't get invited, I would have just bought the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I like staying home, spending time with my family. So,
what do you think your style could be defined as? It's yours, obviously. There's, Bam Rodriguez's style is yours. But who, if you had to compare it to 1 or 2 people, how do you see it?
Lomachenko a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, just because of the angles, but yeah, I would say Lomachenko. I mean,
Okay.
I was a fan of Lomachenko. He's the reason I even started practicing angles. Before then, I was just,
Okay.
yeah, any regular fighter. And then I saw Lomachenko fight a few times, and I went to the gym, started working on that, and it just came natural to me.
Well, he's a guy that seemed like was about to have a huge fight, maybe even before the end of this year. Obviously, that's not happening, but it might happen at the beginning of next year. None other than Tank Davis could potentially be the next opponent for Lomachenko. How do you think that fight goes?
I feel like Tank wins just because Lomachenko, he's a little older now, especially since he's going to wait it out a little bit more. He's going to have a longer layoff as well, so Tank's just going to be a lot more fresher, stronger, and I feel like he'll beat Lomachenko now.
And of course, we're not looking past Madrimov. That's happening Saturday night. We all want to see what happens there. But the talk, of course, is if Crawford is successful at 68 potentially, he could be facing Canelo. What do you think? How does that fight go?
I feel like Crawford's too small for that weight class, but if they were the same weight class, Crawford would just take over. But I feel like he's too small. But I mean, it is possible. You know, anything's possible. He does have a ton of skills, so I don't know, man. If it happens, I would favor Crawford still, but
you favor Crawford over Canelo?
It's a risky fight. It's a risky fight. Anything can happen in that one just because Canelo's naturally bigger, stronger. But like I said, Crawford's skills are out of this world.
Your guy Lomachenko's best friend, his guy is Usyk, right? Who, you know, they don't fight the same, but for the heavyweight division, Usyk also has angles, agile, difficult. He has a rematch coming up with Tyson Fury. What do you think happens? Are we going to see the same again, or is Fury going to make this into a rubber match?
No, I think it's the same thing. I didn't really see much of the first one because I forgot what I was doing, but I missed it. But the little parts I did see, Usyk was just dominating, and I feel like it'll be the same.
Now, as your stardom grows, and these names like Lomachenko, Usyk, Crawford, all these guys are going to be inviting you to their fight. You'll be ringside. I'll be talking to you. How has your personality changed? How has this experience affected you, you know, just as a guy?
I feel like it hasn't. I'm still the same person, still shy. I don't like the media. I don't talk much, so I mean, I'm still the same person, but like skill-wise, I feel like I became a lot better.
Yeah, well, okay, so here's the thing. I thought when I saw you earlier that you had sideburns.
Nah, they're tattoos. But I mean, I like tattoos. I liked them before I, won world titles. So I feel like if I didn't win the world title, I still would have got them.
I feel like there's a bad boy right underneath the surface. Though is my point. Like, is there a monster hiding in there?
Nah, I mean, I'm a chill guy. You can ask anybody that knows me outside of boxing. They'll tell you exactly what I'm saying right now.
Well, right now, you're coming off as incredibly affable. Seem like a very nice guy. It's my first time interviewing you. I'm glad you got that belt around your shoulder there when we did it. So, good luck. I can't wait to see you in the ring again. And we'll be ringside this Saturday for Crawford Madrimov. Radio Rahim with Bam Rodriguez.